I wanted to ask you, just as far as being a wrestling fan. I mean, you asked me when was I a wrestling fan? I watched it hardcore from like 78 to right up early 90s, right when I started doing stand-up. And then like I missed everything because when you guys were on, the big stuff, I was out doing stand-up. So I missed like all of Seinfeld. Like I didn't see any of that until it went into reruns. I missed a bunch of sports in the 90s and all that. And I remember in the late 90s, the late, great Patrice O'Neill.
Yeah.
And he's the great, him and Mitch Hedberg to me in David Tell.
Glad you brought
Those like, when people always say like, man, you're like the funniest guy out there. It's like, yeah, because like the top 5 guys aren't here anymore. If they were back, I'd be featuring at an improv. So in the late 90s, I was living with another comic, Robert Kelly, and him and Patrice were really into wrestling, and that's when you and The Rock brought it back. And like all of what I've always admired about all of you guys, because I never understood the amount of pain you were going through, was how goddamn funny all the characters were. And I mean, all the way from like, Captain Lou Albano to Mr. Wonderful, Rowdy Piper, all of these guys. I used to watch all of those guys, just laugh my ass off watching them. And then when you guys came along, you guys took it to a whole other level. And I always felt you guys were like prolific. Like each week when you thought you had all your guys' catchphrases down, you came up with new stuff. And me and Bobby would watch it, and we'd have Patrice on speakerphone. He was living in New Jersey, and me and Bobby were living in like this walk-through bedroom apartment, and we would sit in the living room on his pull-out bed. Obviously, he'd, fold the thing up during the day, and we'd watch it on this little kitchen TV and just waiting to hear what you guys were going to say and all the different storylines and stuff. It was great, man.
I had so much fun doing that shit, and finally I had to ride off into the sunset with injuries and stuff like that. And so, although it is entertainment, it's a rough ride in there, or can be.
The best thing that happened was once they just said this is sports entertainment, then you guys could actually talk about the real pain that, people just look at, because when they were thinking, it's worked out, it's fake or whatever. But it's like, dude, that guy still has to take a chair to the head at like whatever, 3/4 speed. Do you want to do that, or jump off a top rope and land, or get slammed on your back? Like I couldn't believe what I saw Hulk Hogan one time. So first time I saw him was in the airport, and then I saw him when he did the Opie and Anthony show. And I remember going like, man, I thought he was tall. I thought he was like 6'7", but like his arms hung way down to like his knees. And he said, I used to be 6'7", but after all those years of his finishing move, jumping up with the leg coming down, he lost 3 inches of height.
Here's the thing about Hogan, and I always give that guy a ton of respect because he had a tremendous run. You think something so simple as just jumping up and dropping that leg. Here's a great thing about that leg. First of all, it worked. It looked good. He was charismatic as hell, had a great look. But anybody could take that finish. So when you come up and finish in pro wrestling, you want it to be something that everybody can take. So if it's a bunch of damn, crazy toss around whirly gigs, and it's acrobatic,
right?
Hey, not everybody can take that, but anybody can lay there and get a leg dropped on them. But my point is, when you're 6'6", you're 320, when you drop that leg for 30 years, man, it's like interest. It compounds daily, especially as you get up on it in the years. So, he's paying the price of that. Just a simple leg drop. And, there was times, dude, my finish was a Stone Cold Stunner. So sometimes I'd go to TV on a Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw, Bill, was like therapy for me because it was like, okay, I get all my shit out.
We used to take that night off of stand-up. Bobby and Priest, we would take the night off. We'd have him on speaker. I remember one time, I think he actually made the journey all the way in from Jersey just to watch it. And all 3 of us sitting on that little couch. We ordered like Chinese food. It was the greatest, man.
But sometimes you go to the bill, it's like, hey, Steve, we would give you about, 6 or 8 stunners tonight. Bam, here's going to come down to the ring, give him a stunner, give this guy a stunner, I'm like, God damn, my back's all fucked up. But you're not going to say, well, Vince, my back's kind of fucked up. I better take the night off.
Right.
You're out there ringing up stunners with a fucked up back. So it catches up to you.
It seems a lot like pro football, where their thing is always like, can you go, is the question. And there's only one answer to that, or else you're out the door and someone else is going to take your job. So I don't know. I mean, one night, me and Bobby, we were going to, thank God we didn't go through with it. There was this old comedy club, the Boston Comedy Club, and people used to always joke it looked like an old like ski lodge that sort of burned down. I mean, it was a shithole. Had this wooden stage, small one too. And we were talking one night, and he was going to do the Rock's finishing move. What was that? The Rock Bottom? Is that what it was called? Yeah. he was going to do that to me or I was going to do it to him. And fortunately, I mean, I was already like 30 years old during that time. That would have fucked me up. He was somehow going to do it. And we were going to get into some phony argument on like a Tuesday night, like with 8 people there, and he was going to pick me up and slam me down. We were going to try to work the whole thing out. And fortunately, smarter, we actually, just because, you remember when you were a kid and you'd try to do all the wrestling moves to your friend the first time? First time, I remember doing the Polish hammer, and you didn't know not to interlock your fingers. He'd slam to your little buddy's chest, and all your fingers felt like they broke off. And we didn't understand like all of those things. I fortunately had like, 3 younger brothers, so I could, try out the airplane spin, everybody's move. But I remember the first time, one of the first 2 times I really fucked up my back. 4th grade, this kid put me in a figure 4 leg lock because he was trying to show me how to do it. And he got me into it. And then all the kids started going nuts. And he kind of was like into the crowd cheering. He wasn't letting me out of it. So I got up to try to undo the leg, and I felt a pull on my lower back. That was 4th grade. And then the first time I messed up my upper back was Tony Atlas inspired. His finishing move was to put you up over the head. And I picked up my brother, who was about 4 years younger than me, and I went to pick him up over my head. I swear to God, it felt like my spine bent. And I got him about halfway over my head. I still remember where I was at. I was in the living room. So fortunately, there was a rug, because when I had to drop him immediately, he was crying because he fucked up his shoulder. And, so that's the funny thing. So everybody's sitting there going, yeah, wrestling's fake. Wrestling's fake. It's like, really? When I do it, I still get hurt. So,
well, it's funny because on your Twitter account at Bill Burr, there's a picture of you and Nature Boy Ric Flair.
Arguably one of the funniest dudes who ever lived.
Oh, goddamn, he's hilarious. And he's my favorite pro wrestler of all time. But my point is, it plays back into your story about being in the figure 4. Bill, next time you get put in a figure 4, don't try to unlace your legs.
You roll
over. You reverse the pressure.
Which way do I?
Either way, all you got to do is go belly down, and it puts the pressure on him. Allegedly. That's how it works. So do
you know how cool it is 40 years later to hear it from Stone Cold Steve Austin? This is how you get out of the figure 4. I'm going to teach my wife how to put me in it, see if it works.
You go, dude. Go push Flair versus Steamboat, and watch him put Steamboat in that figure 4, and all of a sudden Ricky will get that crowd, and he's getting that crowd, and goddamn, he's almost got him, and finally turns it over, and the pressure goes to Ric Flair, and he goes to the ropes, so now he's selling the legs just like Steamboat's selling the legs, so there's no reason why, kinesiologically or anatomically, why rolling over would reverse the pressure, but that was the story.
Yeah.